Stop suffering. Call Balanced Medical Solutions now at 510-679-3300 or visit balancedmedicalsolutions.com.
Most hot sauces are just basic. And let's face it, basic is boring. Melinda's hot sauces are anything but basic. Melinda's is made with fresh ingredients and the finest chili peppers for that perfect balance of heat and flavor. It leaves other hot sauces, well, just hot and bothered. Don't be basic. Upgrade to Melinda's and set your mouth on flavor. Visit melindas.com to find a retailer near you.
Hi, I'm your unused PTO. It's almost the end of the year, and if you don't put me on a timesheet, I will be gone forever. Use me or lose me. Let's get away.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
It's go time, California. The year-end sell-a-thon is going on now. Inventory is here now and moving fast, so it's go time. Now get 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $1,000 retail bonus cash on a 2022 Ford F-150 and Explorer. Go to the year-end sell-a-thon at your California Ford dealer today. Now during the year-end sell-a-thon, get low leases on select 2022 and 2023 Ford vehicles. It's go time, only at your California Ford dealer. Hurry in now, it all ends January 3rd. Now get a 2022 Ford F-150 or 2022 Ford Explorer with 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $1,000 retail bonus cash. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford Credit Financing. 1.9% APR financing for 60 months at $1,748 per month per $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Bonus cash includes $1,000 retail bonus cash. Residency restrictions apply. For all offers, take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 1/3/2023. See dealer for qualifications and complete details.
Hi, welcome to IKEA and our winter sale.
Hi.
We've got hundreds of offers on everything from storage solutions to...
I'm sorry, did you say hundreds?
Yes.
I'm still working from home. Anything to help me get organized?
Absolutely. Check out our offers on shelving and desks.
Ooh, what about mattresses?
Yep, those too.
Dressers? Sofas?
Yes and yes.
I think I need a bigger cart.
Visit us at IKEA-USA.com/offers for details. Offer dates may vary. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary by store and online. See store and IKEA-USA.com/offers for complete terms. Restrictions apply.
Now, back to Overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
49ers 37, Washington 20 is the final score. I want to dive into what these defenses look like today and I guess by extension what the two offenses look like, but a couple of scores that affect the 49ers from around the NFL today. Let's dive into that just real quick because the Eagles-Cowboys game has now gone final. So if you're DVRing that for whatever, turn it down for 20 seconds here. In 3, 2, 1. Okay. So Dallas holds on at home to beat Gardner Minshew and the Philadelphia Eagles 40-34.
That was a wild game.
High-scoring game.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. So what that does is it keeps the 49ers' very slim hopes of getting the number 1 overall seed alive. Mm-hmm. It's very slim. The Eagles need to win one of their last 2 games. But they have the Saints next, and they get a division game against the Giants. Who knows with those 2 teams? But it just keeps it open just a little bit. The Niners would need to win out They'd need the Eagles to lose out, and they'd also need the Vikings to lose one of their last 2 games.
Right.
So like I said, it is a very, very slim chance, but it's still there.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm telling you there's a chance.
I
wouldn't have thought.
I didn't even want to do that.
No, that's fine. But it's no. It's you're obligated.
Yeah,
you're obligated. There's so many. There's so many like movie lines. Or I'm a big Hamilton fan.
Right.
The musical. And anytime, and my family is too. And anytime we could be sitting around a table, like playing cards at dinner, we could be out in public. If anything, like from Hamilton, like someone says a word that's in a song, we immediately like quote that.
It's go
thing.
time.
It's so lame.
It's
We're
go time.
Super
My mom
lame.
made me go to Hamilton. I'm not. She's big on the musicals. I'll go.
Shout out to your mom. If your mom would like to go to a musical, I'll go.
There you go. I go once every 10 that she goes to. That's not a bad ratio.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it is.
You should go, dude. Come on.
My little sister goes. It's fine.
Oh, okay. She didn't. Okay. All right.
Well,
she's not cruising by herself.
No,
okay.
maybe sometimes.
Shout out to Mama Styles. The other game was the Giants and Vikings. The Vikings hold on to win again. If you can believe it.
I think that's 11. I think I heard that was 11 one-possession wins this season.
That's outrageous. They are so good in one-score games.
Yeah.
They are. They beat the Giants 27-24. The Giants scored late to tie that game up at 24. They get the 2-point conversion, and then Minnesota just goes down. They get a 61-yard field goal to win it. So the 49ers still in the number 3 seed, but man, it feels like the Vikings want to lose one.
Yeah.
And the Niners, if they win out and the Vikings lose one of their last 2, the 49ers will be the number 2 seed. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. The 49ers take care of business at home today. And we were talking about trap games. And that's where I want to start with the Niners defense today. Because it felt like, they only gave up 20 points. And Washington tried like hell, like you talked about earlier. They tried like hell to run the football.
Right.
33 carries today for 79 yards.
It's not going to cut it.
It's not. 2.4 yards per carry. Their longest carry of the day was a 10-yarder for Brian Robinson, who's super talented. That was the thing that stood out the most to me. And Washington is good at running the football. Brian Robinson is a super talented rookie running back. Antonio Gibson, another talented guy. They just couldn't get it going.
No.
And the Niners defense all day went, if your quarterbacks are going to beat us, then so be it. But you're not going to run it on us.
Yeah, and I don't even know if boom or bust is the right term, but the Niners know, they've seen this in the mirror. We're going to stack the box and make the quarterback beat you, and that's exactly what the Niners did. The Niners, I don't even know if they have to quote unquote stack the box. They're number 1 against the run for a reason. They got some dogs on the line, but what Washington wanted to do is we're going to try to run the football, and then we're going to beat you with the deep threat, right? We're going to beat you with the deep threat. We're going to go to McLaurin. We're going to Dotson, and Dotson did get going a little bit, but it was today we saw a version of the Niners bend don't break, which we haven't seen. They haven't even bended lately. So this was the first time we saw a bend don't break version of the Niners. We were talking about Charvarius Ward goes out for a couple of plays. Oh, look, Terry McLaurin shows up, who we hadn't seen all game. Going back to the whole trap game aspect of this, everybody's been saying that next week, the New Year's game, Niners Raiders. That's the trap game because that's when the Raiders play really well when they have nothing on the line. That's when Derek Carr gets it going. And so many people have been talking about that game as a trap game. I think that we may have overlooked this game. And I think that this game had more trap game aspects because you had a hungry Washington team that didn't necessarily need this game to stay in the hunt for the playoffs, but they would have really liked it, specifically going up against a team like the Niners that don't really, quote-unquote, need it. Yeah, you want the 2 seed or whatever the case may be, but they don't need it like Washington needed it. So this could have been a trap game, and I think defensively, maybe they took their foot off the gas a little bit. But again, the only time we really saw McLaurin was against, Sammy Womack once Charvarius Ward was out. So I wouldn't even say that they took the foot off the gas. I just think that this is a defense that, oh my goodness, they gave up more points than we expected. They gave up 20. Are we going to panic now? No.
You mentioned Washington needing it. With Seattle and Detroit losing today, they stayed in the playoffs with the loss.
Right.
So they're 7-1 now. They're still the number 7 seed, Washington is. And if the playoffs started today, the 49ers would still be hosting the New York Giants. I hate that phrase, though, so I'm not quite sure why I said it. if the season ended today, well, it doesn't. So
it doesn't, so what are we doing?
Let's get to Will and Joe. Before we get to those guys, though, we're getting dragged in the YouTube comments for the lighting.
Yeah, there's one.
I forgot we're supposed to turn lights on when we come in here.
Right.
I'm one of those people that
Someone
I like
said
the
candlelight
ambiance.
studio. You know, it's Christmassy. We should think of Christmas lights. We wanted to use the red. The red from the mic. Just set the mood. It's Christmas Eve.
Dennis, I know it's Christmas Eve, but I didn't expect the fireplace lighting for the post game. And there's chestnuts roasting over that open fire.
There
Dennis.
are.
We'll turn some lights on at the break. Maybe no. We'll turn some lights on at the break. I just love this. I love the ambiance of like a low light.
Right.
But I forget that we're supposed to be well lit for the camera. So we'll get that. Thank you, everybody, for pointing it out. Let's get to Will in Berkeley. Oh, he was at the game. Will, what's going on, man? You're on overtime with Kyle and Alan. What's up? Hey, Will.
I was with my 10-year-old son. He was at his very first 49ers game.
Oh, hell yeah.
He was thrilled. It was a Christmas miracle. And, we missed Christmas Mass, but, this was all worth it. From what I can see, the eye test of seeing this team, this is like the team from 49er defense's past. They look so confident. They look so ready to play against this team. 7 games up, and they feel like they just look really seamless. So I feel like, Brock Purdy is with the right system. Kyle is in his bag right now, and so I'm really, really proud of these guys. And I'm so thankful for, bringing my son. I'm about to cry. So thank you guys. I appreciate you.
I love that. Thanks, Will. You know what's cool about that with Will taking his son to the game? The first game I went to, I was 8 years old, and I still remember like details from it. And Will's son is someday going to go back and go, you know what? I remember my first game. I'm going to go look it up, and he's going to research it, and he's going to go through, and he's going to remember all these little things about it.
Because he's at 10, right?
Yeah.
10's a good age. You remember that type of stuff at 10 for sure.
No doubt. So shout out to Will, shout out to his son, and shout out to the Niners getting them a win. He said something there, and we'll get to Joe in a second. He said something there about that Niners defense, though, that I think matters here. Because they gave up today. It wasn't like Washington was getting whatever they wanted offensively. They scored 20 points. They turned it over a couple times. But those turnovers were the big thing. It's with this Niners defense, Washington had 21 first downs today. They were 7 of 13 on third down. They were 2 for 3 in the red zone. And they went for 5.1 yards per play, which is not awesome.
No.
But this Niners defense, they're going to give you some plays. But they're going to make you be perfect all the way down the field. We saw Washington have a 12-play drive that took
11 minutes?
That took more than 10 minutes off the clock. There was 17 plays, 79 yards. It took 10 minutes and 48 seconds off the clock, and they didn't score. And when they scored late in the game when Carson Wentz was on the field, the game was already in hand, and you could see the Niners just like, you want to take those short throws over the middle? We're going to rally to the football, and you're going to get the ball with 9 minutes left, and you're going to score, but you're going to take minutes off the clock to do it. And when it got tight late, the Niners get a touchdown, they go ahead, and you get turnovers on consecutive possessions.
Right.
It's that opportunistic defense, that bend don't break that you talked about.
Yeah, and I think what we did see from the Niners, and it really depends, because I ask you too, when we see some of these catches being made by the Commanders, was this scheme? Did somebody get toasted? And we had 2 TVs going, and luckily one was behind the other, so we're kind of getting a replay on every down. But some of those plays where, all right, Heineke's getting these mid-level throws off, we're sitting there and maybe he's getting a first down here or a first down there, but those are small potatoes. That's not ultimately going to be enough to beat this Niner team. And throughout those different drives, they cashed in on some. One was because of that pick from that Brock Purdy threw, but Juwan Jennings, it tipped off his hand and literally just landed in the defender's breadbasket. So there were situations like that. They end up scoring on that drive. But besides that, you're not going to get, if anything, I guess you got to worry about getting beat over the top. But the Niners have already played a team like that in the Dolphins. So I don't even know what type of offense that this Niners team should worry about. I think if anything, sure, if your starting corner goes down like Charvarius Ward, you're probably going to be in trouble.
Yeah, they're very thin.
But I guess name me a team where you're not going. Maybe you won't be in as much trouble as the Niners, but you're not going to be in a great spot. Right. So I just think that if you're looking at the DBs last year, just a complete 180 from last year where they were really the crutch of this defense, the Niners, I'm just thinking now, Kyle, as we move closer to the playoffs, what's the type of offense that we've seen that can really affect this defense? It's Mariota going back to Oregon, right, in a game where they didn't have anybody when they lost to the Falcons, which we can throw that out the window. Sure. And number two, the Chiefs,
right,
and Patrick Mahomes. So besides that, what else do you think is going to really scares you?
Well, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles.
Okay.
Because they have the mobile quarterback with that deep shot ability. Jalen Hurts is very good throwing the deep ball.
Yeah.
But Gazebo brought it up in the YouTube chat. There's that speed to the edge and forcing the Niners to get downhill and then beating them over the top. I would be fascinated to see them play the Chiefs again and see how that goes. Somebody else asked how many rushing yards the Commanders had. 79 they had on their 33 carries. And then the other thing that came up was the Niners offense against this Washington defense. It was third in the league in yards and ninth in points. This is a really good defense. And the Niners went 1 for 5 in the red zone. They were not very good on third down. They're 4 of 11 on third down, which is... But they figured out a way to just keep putting up points. They got explosive plays.
Right.
They averaged 7.1 yards per play. And when you can create those explosives through the air, it makes it less of a big deal when you miss a throw or take a sack or aren't super efficient running the ball, which they weren't today.
Right.
The Ray McLeod 71-yard touchdown run kind of skews their rushing totals. But, I mean, if you're not having to run a ton of plays on offense and you're just getting explosives and getting 34-yard touchdowns to George Kittle and capitalizing on turnovers, that's what this team's built on.
And that's what it's been built on. That's what it's been built on before Brock Purdy with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what it's always been built on. Look, if the Niners do get into a situation where the other team is up 10, more than 10 points, and Brock has to spin that thing all over the yard, they might be in trouble. But we don't know when that's going to happen because we haven't seen it. This Niner defense this team hasn't been in this position. There has been a little bit of adversity, and I'm worried about that game coming in the playoffs. But at this point, you can't simulate anything. You can't try to simulate. I was on with Damon and Rado yesterday, and we talked about, well, maybe Kyle Shanahan just enters a 2-minute drill, even if it's not 2 minutes, just to try to get him some type of work. This was the closest we've seen, and again, it still felt comfortable. On the YouTube chat, they're saying as well, this looks like the Niners' shakiest game throughout this run, and they were still in control the whole time.
Yeah,
the whole time.
It's a really good point. Let's get to Joe in San Jose. He wants to hop in and talk Niners. Joe, Niners 37, Commanders 20. Your thoughts?
Oh, guys, thanks. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Joe. What's up?
Thank you for taking my call. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, it's going to come down to Philadelphia and Buffalo going to the playoff. But my question is, how do you guys rate Kyle Shanahan this year? Is he doing a good job, or do you think they need a coach change? Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, Joe. No, Kyle Shanahan's done an awesome job. This is his best coaching job by far.
And early on this season, I wouldn't call myself a hater, but I was not giving Kyle Shanahan any flowers. I was ready.
No, they started 3-4.
I was pulling the genius title. I'm thinking this guy. I really don't like how he approaches these things, but ultimately he is who he is. And look, they have a model. They stick to the model. In Kyle Shanahan's model, these are things that are going to happen. Players are going to get hurt. But we have a model where we know players are going to get hurt, so we're able to overcome that.
Right.
Now, it's a pretty unique model, but he's been able to do these things throughout the course of his tenure here with the Niners, and now you have a situation where you're down to your third quarterback, and at this point, nobody's blinking an eye. We haven't even really talked about Brock Purdy yet because we're getting used
crazy.
We're getting used to it.
Right.
We're getting used to it. I mean, not a great game, but again, this looks like I have to look and double check, but this seems like the most yards he might have thrown for since he started. I mean, so it's hard to have anything negative to say about Kyle Shanahan right now. Admin Honor is saying Kyle is the luckiest guy on the planet to have Purdy. I don't know if you want to say lucky when he was the last pick in the draft. Everybody had multiple chances to get him. And this is what we said. I understand that part of it. I also will say, to be fair, sometimes people get the draft wrong, right? Shout out Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going to happen. But you do have to give Purdy some flowers because we now know that even in a non-QB dependent offense, there are plenty of QBs in this league that wouldn't look like this.
Yeah.
So, and I'm the king of, two things can be true. And I do think that, he's in a great situation. Brock Purdy is. But I also think that Kyle Shanahan, to Admin's point, is also in a pretty good situation because Brock Purdy is better than what Kyle Shanahan thought and what all the other teams that didn't draft him thought. Yeah. That's just what it is.
Yeah. And the question with Purdy and how good he is, we've talked about this time and time again. You were sick of the word ceiling. Well, I'm going to use the word floor.
Right.
With this offense or with this defense, it's how low is your offensive floor? Mm-hmm. And Brock Purdy, again, I mean, you said it, he wasn't spectacular, but man, his ability, that throwaway he had where he did the spin around and then hit the little hezzy and then the spin again to throw it away. It's like that neutral play. Mm-hmm. It was 3rd and 17. They ended up not getting the first down anyways, or that was 2nd and 17. Mm-hmm. But that ability to take a what could be a massively negative play and just make it neutral.
Yeah.
Because imagine if that's 2nd and 4. And you avoid a 12-yard loss. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, now you have 3rd and 4. That's super manageable. And that's the kind of little stuff where it's like, is he ever going to have a huge arm? No. Is he ever going to be Lamar Jackson on the ground? Obviously not.
No.
Is he ever going to be in the MVP conversation? Is he even going to be started next year? I don't know. But this year, and the reason that, like you said, they have Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback, and they won, and it wasn't even our opening thing.
Right.
He goes 15 of 22, 234 yards, a career high for a game. You were right. 2 touchdowns, a pick, 10.6 yards per attempt. Thanks to the couple 34-yarders and the 54-yarder.
Yep.
Like, it's just efficient, and this offense is super efficient. Now, are there still boxes we need to check? What's he look like in the playoffs? What's he look like when they're down 2 scores? Sure, absolutely. But for right now, it looks like his floor is still a winnable game for San Francisco.
That's
huge.
I don't know if there are any more check boxes or boxes we can check before the playoffs, right? I mean, what else? What else is there? I guess unless, okay, like I said earlier, they're down 10. What do they do, right? They're down 15. But we have no clue if they're going to be in that situation. And based on what we've seen specifically from this defense and who they have left to play, they're probably not going to be in that situation. Mm-hmm. They have the Raiders and they have the Cardinals.
Who might be starting Trace McSorley at quarterback.
Shout out Trace, man. Shout out Trace. That's my guy. That's my guy.
He go to Penn State?
Yeah, that's my guy. I don't know why he's my guy. He's hanging around. So I just
shout out to Pennsylvania colleges, right?
Shout out. I don't know that there's anything else that Brock Purdy is going to have the opportunity to prove to us before the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I could see a scenario next week where the Raiders go up like 10 or 14 nothing, and then it's like, what do you got here? But this Washington defense, that's where this started. Mm-hmm. I wrote about this. I write it aside, NinersWire.com, and I wrote about this before the game. Like, this is going to be an interesting challenge for Brock Purdy because Washington can get pressure up the middle, and the Niners' interior offensive line is not awesome. It's not bad, but it's not like great. And we saw it a couple of times where those guys got through, and I thought he did a really good job against it today.
Right. Couple holding calls from the Niners to that point. I believe Banks had one. So they're definitely they were tested today, and they passed the test. All you can do. So right now he's come into a game.
They're the best defense they're going to face. This was the best defense they're going to face
until playoffs.
Until the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not particularly close. And maybe even if they get to the divisional round, maybe not even till the divisional round.
Right.
And even then, if they play Minnesota, Minnesota's defense stinks. So then you're talking NFC Championship if they get that far.
Minnesota is shootout central.
Yeah.
Which
again, that's another that would be fascinating to see.
Exactly.
If they get in a shootout on the road. But again, these are all hypotheticals that are like playoff hypotheticals. Mm-hmm. And that's a crazy spot for the 49ers to be, especially with Brock Purdy. Somebody asked, I mentioned the big arm and running like Lamar Jackson and how he was never going to be those things. And they said, well, you don't need it. I agree. And that's what when I talk about the ceiling with Brock Purdy, it's as the team as the 49ers franchise, mm-hmm. Can he get them to that level where it's like, yeah, they can win a Super Bowl? And from that standpoint, he's playing really well right now. I think sometimes we look at quarterbacks as individuals and go, well, he's not as talented as Patrick Mahomes, ergo he's not good. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, if that's your bar, then yeah, he's going to fall way short.
Well, and then all the quarterbacks besides Patrick Mahomes are terrible.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
So I just wanted to make it clear. That's not the bar that I mean. The bar is this offense. Mm-hmm. And there's just so many little things he does where it's like, man, that is just something they just haven't had under Shanahan.
No, he's a souped-up Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I think he is. Like Fast and the Furious.
Well, and remember when Garoppolo came in 2017, he was moving like this.
Exactly.
Getting outside the pocket, and then he got hurt, and I think that ACL injury really affected him. But, yeah, there's just I've run out of reasons to be like, because I don't have a reason now.
Right.
Like, if Purdy falls off a cliff, I don't have, like, a thing that I'm like, well, when this happens, I don't know how he's going to respond. Mm-hmm. If he falls off a cliff, he falls off a cliff. I just don't have a reason to. It's just like, yeah, man, they're the Niners. Like they seem to be on a collision course to playing the Eagles in the NFC title game right now.
Right, but look, whenever we do that, or whenever we see, this could be a Super Bowl preview or whatever it is. How many times is that actually the preview? Not a lot. I will say this on
good point.
I will say this on Brock Purdy. There was a quick stint where we know he's a bit undersized, relatively speaking, for a quarterback, and the ball was getting tipped a lot. And Chase Young, who, first game back, he was hot to trot today. A couple balls were tipped that could have ended up in disasters, could have ended up in interceptions.
Yes.
They didn't, but that is something to keep an eye on. Now,
I'm glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm. Let's put a pin in that because I want to get to that on the other side. There was something super encouraging about Brock Purdy today that makes me even more confident in him moving forward. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about that on the other side. 888-957-9570. That's the number. Jacqueline and San Mateo, I see you. We will get to you first thing on the other side. 888-957-9570 is the number. You can text that to the Xfinity mobile text line. You can give us a call. And, of course, check us out on YouTube and Twitch. YouTube.com/957thegame. Twitch.tv/957thegame. I'm Kyle Madsen. He's Alan Stiles. We'll be back on the other side.
Television sales on Black Friday set new records as millions of Americans snapped up the hot deals. But a lot of people were out of town or too busy to take advantage of the special pricing. So, how about a redo? Right now, you've got a second chance to save big on many of the top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs. Where? At Video Only, where the smart shoppers go. So, don't miss out. Check out Video Only now, or
you'll be sorry.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you that money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help your business too. Just go to getrefunds.com and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Join us at Odyssey as we do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. This holiday season, invest in some LED Christmas lights. They use significantly less energy than regular bulbs. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Hey, it's Jonas Knox. Time for new tires? Trust the experts at TireRack.com. They've been crushing it for over 40 years. Go to TireRack.com/sports. Tell them what you drive. Try their easy-to-use tire decision guide. They'll show you the right tires for how, what, and where you drive. They've got the full line of hand-cooked tires, test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews. Fast free shipping and free road hazard protection. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
He's the best interview in the Bay Area.
Splish Splash. Coach, are you taking a bath?
Did you hear a little water in the background? Yeah! He's a 9-time NBA champion.
Not 5, not 6, not 7.
And he's on with Damon and Ratto every single week during the NBA season. Wow. It's Warriors head coach Steve Kerr on 95.7 The Game. Presented by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet only from Xfinity.
It's go time, California. The year-end sell-a-thon is going on now. Inventory is here now and moving fast. So it's go time. Now get 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $1,000 retail bonus cash on a 2022 Ford F-150 and Explorer. Go to the year-end sell-a-thon at your California Ford dealer today. Now during the year-end sell-a-thon, get low leases on select 2022 and 2023 Ford vehicles. It's go time, only at your California Ford dealer. Hurry in now, it all ends January 3rd. Now get a 2022 Ford F-150 or 2022 Ford Explorer with 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $1,000 retail bonus cash. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 1.9% APR financing for 60 months at $1,748 per month per $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Bonus cash includes $1,000 retail bonus cash. Residency restrictions apply. For all offers, take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 1/3/2023. See dealer for qualifications and complete details.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Now, back to Overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, that's what's going on. Working on Christmas Eve. Shout out to everybody out there who's also working on Christmas Eve, and a very Merry Christmas to everybody out there, to those who celebrate. If you don't, shout out to you. Thank you for watching. Hoping you're having a great holiday season. Anyways, 49ers 37, Commanders 20. You brought up before the break Brock Purdy and his struggles early in the game. And this is 2 games in a row where that's really stood out to me. And it's the number one thing that gives me actually confidence.
Okay.
In him moving forward. Before we get to that, I want to take Jacqueline's call because I said it'd be the first thing we do on the other side. And I don't want to make a liar out of myself at 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve. So, Jacqueline, welcome to Overtime with Madsen and Styles. What's going on?
Hey, happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays.
Brock Purdy was 17-2 in October football games at Iowa State University, and they called it Brocktober. And I think in December he's 4-0 in the Bay Area. We need to call it Brockember, a Brockember to remember. Go Iowa State, go Niners, go Brock Purdy.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Jacqueline. Big Cyclones fan calling in.
Yeah, that is a mic drop right there.
Brockember.
Nicely done.
I'm going to let that one marinate.
Nope.
Nope. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, no, workshop it.
Yeah,
We've got another hour to go. So, anyways. Brock Purdy, the fact that he struggled a little bit early in the last 2 games and bounced back to make some big plays, especially that 4th and 3 throw to George Kittle that we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. Niners have the ball in Washington's 11. And going for it, there's the right thing to do.
Right.
If you're Kyle Shanahan. Because if you kick a field goal, Washington needs 2 touchdowns to win. If you go for it and don't get it, they still need 2 touchdowns to win.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it gives them touchdown and a field goal to tie, but, I mean, it's not about playing for ties. And playing for overtime is not the move. You want to get up by touchdowns.
Right.
So, Shanahan goes, okay, we're going for it. And Washington wasn't going to score 2 touchdowns anyways. So, I love going for it in that spot. I love that he had the confidence in Brock Purdy to do that despite some early struggles. He missed throws. He made bad reads. He made bad decisions. He had those 2 throws tipped at the line. He threw an interception. And although it wasn't his fault.
Right.
But still, threw an interception. And the fact that all of that went down and Shanahan had the confidence to put the ball in that quarterback's hands and that Purdy had the confidence in that spot to drill the throw in to a tight window to George Kittle. He clearly trusts Kittle, which is another factor, I think, when it comes to you were wondering why they're using Kittle more. I think there's a trust factor there.
Right.
But that's the most impressive thing to me, that Purdy has been able to struggle early in these games, first on the road in a division game in a tough environment, and now in a game against a very good defense, and bounce back to still put together a good game. That's crazy impressive to me.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do.
Well, and again, I don't think I would call this a shootout, but it did get to a point when Dotson started going off and when McLaurin showed up where, all right, we got to throw the football, we got to hang around, and Brock Purdy goes out, and yes, it was a bit more high risk, high reward than we've seen from him. He does come out with the interception, a couple tip balls. He also comes out with his most yards in a game, and they come out with the W. So if you're looking for boxes to check, this was a box where, all right, and somebody on the text line said, I don't know why the Commanders stopped throwing the football because they actually were doing a decent job at it. I don't really know either. I mean, I know Nick Bosa, maybe they were tired of Heineke getting just slammed by Nick Bosa, and he started missing some throws too. I think ultimately, it hit, just like we said about the Seahawks, it hit midnight for Cinderella. It might have hit midnight for Heineke as well, and the Niners they were the ones that brought that clock to midnight. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and I think that's right. Like that's why you didn't see, because Washington doesn't want to throw it a ton.
Right.
They don't trust Taylor Heineke to continue making throws without making mistakes. And you saw it. He got hit and fumbled, and Jordan Willis recovered it. And Jordan Willis, maybe a player, if you're a just casual, like, yeah, I tune in on Sundays, Niner fan, you may not even know who Jordan Willis is.
Yeah.
You probably do because he had the blocked punt in the the divisional game. But he had an excellent game today. And the fact that he's now coming along with Nick Bosa and Charles Omenihu and Samson Ebukam, and now they get Javon Kinlaw back, who I think was paramount to their ability to stop the run today. Eric Armstead, we all know how good he is. Like, this defensive line is really starting to come together. And if they have one more guy like Jordan Willis making impact plays the way he did today, that's huge for this defense. But just to to get back to Taylor Heineke and why Washington wasn't. Because if Washington wanted to drop back and try to carve up the 49ers are going to make an adjustment, and it wasn't going to work.
Like we talked about, those mid-level throws that they were getting for a bid, and for everybody listening, Kyle, I've said it before, I'll say it again, Kyle gets a little, he's very rambunctious here in the studio, and a couple balls get caught. I was
loud today.
A couple balls get caught. Well, it's just us here. We're just hanging out. Everybody else already just kicking it for Christmas Eve. Shout out to the rest of the 95.7 The Game family. And a couple throws at that mid-level. All right, are the Niners going to put a stop to it? And ultimately they did. I think that if that was still open for the Commanders, they wouldn't have abandoned it. I think D'Amico Ryans, it might not be obvious to, anybody watching, not necessarily obvious to me. All I know is they stopped doing that, and there's probably a reason. I mean, besides those plays with Sammy Womack, and I'm not picking on him, but obviously when Charvarius Ward went out, McLaurin was nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. He showed up a little bit when they had to throw the football once they got down in the second half. And like I said, when Charvarius was out, they had that bomb to him. But besides that, they knew the Niners knew who they had to take away. And when you have a run heavy offense like the Commanders, I think the Niners got surprised a little bit because they were, the Commanders were able to move the ball through the air. But again, this was the most bend, don't break we've seen the Niners because they just haven't been bending at all lately. And they were due for something like this.
And I think they were fine if Washington wanted to drop back and throw it 40 times.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We're going to make Taylor Heineke beat us.
That's it. That's your guy?
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, here, let it rip. Like, make it happen. And
Right.
Washington clearly didn't want to do that. They still ran it 33 times.
Yeah, you got it.
They ran it 33 times in a game they lost by 17.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. But Terry McLaurin, to further your point, had that 51-yard catch against Samuel Womack, where Womack had pretty good coverage, by the way. Terry McLaurin just is ridiculous. Take away that 51-yard catch, he had 3 for 26, including that touchdown.
Right.
He did have a touchdown. But, yeah, man, that's what this Niners defense is going to do. They're going to make you be perfect. And if you have a 17-play drive and you get in the end zone and you take 10 minutes off the clock, good on you. Let's see if you can do it twice.
I'm actually excited, not to look too far ahead. I know we'll probably talk a little bit more about it as we get deeper into the show. But I am excited to see. We don't know. We're not going to see probably the best version of this Raiders offense tonight because I believe it's 10 degrees in Pittsburgh.
Is it that warm?
I think it's 10, feels like 5 is the last thing that I saw. But when you do get to that New Year's
11.
game, 11. Wow, hey, break out and by the way, we might have to take some time at the end to just roast the Seahawks coming out with the no shirts on, and you just get destroyed by the Chiefs. Embarrassing. I don't know what you were thinking, but we'll get to that soon. But going back to this Raiders game next week. It's in Vegas. It's going to be warm. The Raiders, they got Darren Waller back. They got Renfro back. Obviously, they got Devontae Adams. So this is an opportunity for the Niners. And look, say what you want about Derek Carr. He's got some weapons. And obviously, they have Josh Jacobs. So this is one of the most, on paper, one of the most dynamic offenses that the Niners will see. So I'm really excited to see how the Niners, take this on because after that, again, you got McSquirrely in Arizona for their last game. So this is so we just saw possibly the best defense that the Niners are going to see before the playoffs. And then next week, you'll probably see the best offense that you're going to see until you get to the playoffs. So a lot of opportunities for the Niners. The 925 is chiming in. Does this count? Because we've been talking about it so much. Does this count as facing adversity for Purdy today?
Yeah.
I'd say yes.
I think so.
I'd say there's no way we're going to see any playoff level adversity. We're just not. So we got to take what we can get.
So Willard and Dibbs were having this conversation the other day. And Dibbs' point was that Purdy hadn't faced any adversity yet because he hadn't thrown an interception. He hadn't been down 2 scores in a game.
We're not counting we talked about the Miami Dolphins the punt pick.
Yeah, right. Yeah. End of the half.
Exactly.
Exactly. So hadn't thrown like a big interception yet in a big spot. Well, he did that today.
Right.
And did they get down 2 scores? No, not like that. But he's definitely faced adversity. Like he's struggled in games. He had to go on the road on a short week where he was hurt. Like, yeah, absolutely. But again, I think you and I are in the same camp here.
And he's still not 100%, by the way.
Yeah, he's dealing, and Dr. Brian Feely again with Willard and Dibbs. I produced Willard and Dibbs, by the way. Hello, if you're unfamiliar.
There you go. Drop
9 to noon, Monday through Friday. But Dr. Brian Feely was on for the Cleared to Play segment and said, like, this is probably just going to be a thing for him the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what's going to happen. So I don't think it looked like it affected him at all today. And I think you're in the camp with me. He has nothing left to prove to me in the regular season.
There's nothing.
If the wheels suddenly come off, then they just come off.
But
I have no reason to say, like I said, I don't have any reason to say that. Like he clearly can't make this throw, and once teams make him make this throw, he's really gonna. I don't see that yet.
This is where it gets interesting. So we've talked about how on paper, and this Raiders team offensively could be dynamic, right? And they haven't had a lot of their pieces. They finally got Waller back. They finally get Renfro back. It's just been Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. So this is something that we can look forward to in terms of what to prove to anybody. If the Raiders, this is the team, I just don't see it. It's not going to happen against the Cardinals. All right, as much as I love McSorley, it's not going to happen. But if the Raiders are rocking in Vegas, good weather, and they do come out and punch the Niners in the mouth, a la the Dolphins, but then they double up on it.
Sure.
They double up on it, and now it's what? 10-0, maybe 17-0. My question is this. It's not even so much about Kyle Shanahan, or it's not even so much about Brock Purdy. If you're Kyle Shanahan and you're in a position where people are grabbing film on you, people are grabbing tape on you, you're probably not going to, you could get that 2 seed. You're probably not going to get the 1 seed. Maybe the Vikings, I don't know when the Vikings play next week. Maybe you already know the Vikings won. Are you going to completely open up your playbook and allow possible playoff teams to see what you do in certain spots? Or do you say, you know what? We got what we got. We're going to stick to the plan. We're going to keep it somewhat conservative. Yes, Niner fans will have to hear it from Raider fans for a year, but I'm not opening up the playbook to catch this Niner team, and catch this Raider team and get a W that ultimately, maybe at that point, doesn't matter as much. But if he does decide to do that, that would be an opportunity for Brock Purdy. Okay, let's see him when he has to chase a team. We saw it a little bit against the Dolphins, but not for long. Let's see what he has to do when he has to chase a team by 2 scores.
The fact that they created so many explosive plays today makes me think they'd be okay in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you never know how a guy reacts. But that's the thing is the fact that he's just gone ice in his veins in every spot that he's been in makes me at least confident.
Right.
It's no longer like we'll just kind of see. This is enough. Like he's doing enough.
And we'll know. Is he missing throws? Is Kyle Shanahan going for it, basically? Is he trying to get this W?
So I don't think it's like they're going to come out against the Raiders or against Arizona if they need to win and just pack it in.
Right.
Like
or if they don't need to win.
Yeah, like if they go in, I don't think they can even go into week 18 where they know that they'll have anything clinched. Because if they're tied, they can't clinch before week 18.
Even the 3 seed.
Even the 3 seed.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So I'm no, they're 3 seeds clinched. They're at least 3.
Yeah,
the 2.
So the Vikings, the Vikings and the Packers, I believe they play at 125. So it's not as if the Vikings would have, because I believe the Niners and
they're going to try and beat the Raiders.
They all play at 125.
They're going to try and win on Sunday.
I'm just saying, if they had that 10 o'clock game, Vikings already won, Raiders get out to a hot start, am I going to expose my playbook, right, to chase this W? To your point, they probably will.
Yeah.
They probably will. And I'm excited for it because that, again, not that I still think Brock can check too many more boxes before the playoffs, but if there was one, sure, if the defense, for some odd reason, just gives up a ton of points and they got to try to catch them, let's see what Brock can do.
The other thing that came out of today, we have 3 starts now and 3/4 of another game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that if Purdy does, like, let's say, in one of these last 2 games, just have a really bad day, I don't think I would even be like, oh, there it is. Like, that's what, because we have enough of a sample size now to go, oh, well, there will be some level of bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's encouraging. And that's just kind of like the confidence that for me personally is getting built, because I've been very like arm's length on the Purdy thing.
Right.
After the Washington game, it was like, okay, that was neat. Let's see what he does when a team has a week to game plan for him. And it's Todd Bowles, a very good defensive coach. Okay, does really well against the Buccaneers. Has the one interception called back. You know, you can nitpick, but I mean, for the most part, really good.
Right.
Okay, but now let's see him go on the road in a short week. And he's banged up. And it's a division game. Okay, plays pretty well. Bounces back within that game. Didn't get off to a great start. Bounced back, made a couple plays late. Saw the 3rd and 1, runs it. Like, okay, that's cool. And now this week, against a top 10 defense, top 5, whatever you want to, like I said, 3rd in yards, 9th in scoring. A really good defense, especially a really good defensive line, a good pass rush, and handled himself pretty well.
Right.
So, if he's going to just handle himself well, and his interception, not on him today, if he's just going to handle himself, that's all they need.
Exactly.
And I have no reason to think that he's not going to.
The thing is, the shorter passes, those are the ones that you could be a little worried about, because he is fitting into some tight windows. Even early on in the game, we were sitting down watching thinking, whoa, I mean, he's playing with fire a bit. So the short passes, those are the passes that I think, all right, you get to, a playoff. And look, that is a playoff level defense. The Commanders could very well get into the playoffs. So you're thinking, all right, maybe, the deeper you get in the playoffs, is he going to be able to pull this stuff off, when people get more film on him, things like that. The deep shots, though, Kyle, those deep shots, he's not necessarily, and this is not to take away from Brock Purdy, because what he's doing is allowing these things to happen, but he's not having to throw these receivers open. He's not throwing Kittle open. He's not necessarily throwing these guys open. It's the scheme. It's his ability to evade the pass rush. That's what's helping. So it's not as if you're going to get to the playoffs and maybe because the defenses are better, it's not as if he's going to get to the playoffs and I got to fit it in. I got to fit these long throws down. They're just not going to take those shots if they're not there.
Yeah.
Now, what
risk
that
aversion,
looks
risk
like,
aversion is
exactly
a big deal.
All the plays that we're seeing today. They're pretty wide open.
But how many times? Okay, but to that point, how many times did we gripe about Jimmy Garoppolo missing those open throws?
I would agree with that.
And that was such a talking point coming in with Trey Lance. It's like, man, can you just hit the open ones?
Right.
Can you just hit the guys? And that's what Purdy's doing right now. That touchdown throw to George Kittle down the middle of the field, which, by the way, Kyle Shanahan said after the game that play is designed for Ray McLeod. And that's why McLeod and Kittle were next to each other. But Kittle saw the way they were covering the Niners. And again, this is where Christian McCaffrey's gravity comes in. The guys who were supposed to be getting depth and not allowing Kittle down the field just ran to McCaffrey. And so Kittle instincts goes down the middle of the field. And that's where Purdy, seeing that, recognizing that, gets it to Kittle.
Yeah.
And I was very, very impressed. I don't want to say blown away because that's dramatic. And frankly, I wasn't. Purdy just kind of did what we knew he could do.
Exactly.
I wasn't blown away by today, but I was very impressed with the way he handled a game that I thought could be really tough for him.
Yeah. Look, again, everybody's looking forward to the New Year's game. The Commanders, they beat the Eagles, but they're one-trick ponies, and you slip up, and next thing you know, you're in a battle, and they never let it get there, right? Was it a bit tougher than maybe they expected? Sure, but it also wasn't really tough. I mean, the Commanders, the fumbles, things like that, they kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit, but at the same time, there's a reason for that. And I think that, there's no more, this is a coincidence, right? Oh, we did this against the Saints, at least I did. Well, I mean, they had so many opportunities, and Kamara, if he doesn't fumble there, or if they don't, there's a reason that these guys are messing up in these spots. And that reason is the Niners defense. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about Minnesota right now. Like at some point when you're in week 16 and it's like, oh, they got lucky. Like at some point you're good enough to win these tight games.
Right. There are multiple ways to make a salad, as I say.
Yeah.
And I think the Vikings are living dangerously, but until it actually burns them, more power to you.
Like, I think now I will say, and Sidney Johnson, real quick, Sidney Johnson on YouTube asked, how much film do you need? I don't know if he's asking that to us or if they're asking that to us.
Possibly. Let's go with it.
But I don't need any more on Brock Purdy. I've said that. I've stated that. I'm on. Like, I'm in.
I was in after the Miami game. I had riding dirty with Purdy ready to go.
I wasn't like out, but I was definitely kind of like, okay, let me see. Like, let me just see. And after this week, it was really after last week, but especially after this week, because I thought the Niners might struggle offensively today, having nothing to do with who the quarterback is. I would have thought that with Jimmy or Trey or Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Like, the Washington is a good defense and good defensive lines that get pressure up the middle just give quarterbacks problems.
Yeah.
Like, that's just any quarterback. So that was my concern today. It was not Purdy related. So, like I said, the only boxes I have left for Purdy to check are in the playoffs.
Right.
And that's just because the playoffs are a different animal.
What I like it's not a matter of need. It's, yeah, sure. If the Niners happen to get down in the playoffs and Brock Purdy has to bring them back, we have no clue if he can do that or not because he hasn't needed to. So would I like to see that? Sure. But I'm not going to say I want the Niners to go in and go down to the Raiders 17-0 to figure that out.
Right.
So I don't think it's a matter of need. It's just if you're asking me, okay, well, if there's anything else that you'd like to see from him, it would be this. But we both understand that there's a good possibility based on how good this defense is. We're not going to see it before the playoffs. And here's the kicker. We might not see it throughout the whole entirety of the playoffs until you get to the Super Bowl if the Chiefs are waiting for you, and maybe I'll put the Bills in there. And not to be disrespectful, I'd say maybe the Eagles. Like, there's just no other teams besides those three teams offensively that I think are really going to challenge this Niners defense.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm sleeping on the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. The thing I don't trust about the Cowboys is just Mike McCarthy.
And the Cowboys?
I just don't. The Cowboys? Yeah, it feels weird. It feels weird to say, like, yeah, the Cowboys might be a problem.
Because
it feels weird to say.
We've been doing that for a decade,
Show
man.
me.
We did that before Dak with Romo. They're going to be a problem.
I just need to you got to show me first.
If they're a problem, then the Niners have been the solution.
Yeah.
You know,
every team they've played.
Or enter any team that they played in the playoffs for the last decade.
And if they're playing the Cowboys, they're playing them at Levi Stadium where the 49ers are 7-1 this year.
I'll bet the house on the Niners.
Yeah, I'm and especially with the way the defensive line's coming together. Matt Barrows from The Athletic. that Javon Kinlaw was supposed to get 10 to 15 snaps today. He got 15 and then was walking around the sideline asking anybody with any decision-making power, like, I want to play more. Get me in. I want to play more. I feel good. I want to play more. Walked up to Kyle Shanahan mid-game. I went, put me in.
Yeah, let me spin.
Yeah, you want to win, put Javon in. So, no, that's good. Not that Javon Kinlaw is this crazy, like, over-the-top excellent playmaker, but he makes a difference. He's a talented player in the middle of that defensive line, and more playmakers is good news for this defense. Let's talk more about the defense. And Nick Bosa, I think he's the defensive player of the year, and I think he established that today. We'll talk about him on the other side. 888-957-9570. That's the phone number. That's the Xfinity mobile text line. And I see you guys flying around YouTube and Twitch. YouTube.com/957thegame. Twitch.tv/957thegame. I'm Kyle Madsen. He's Alan Stiles. Cam Williams hanging out with us. This is overtime on 957 The Game.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know. Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
Hi, welcome to IKEA and our winter sale.
Hi.
We've got hundreds of offers on everything from storage solutions to...
I'm sorry, did you say hundreds?
Yes.
I'm still working from home. Anything to help me get organized?
Absolutely. Check out our offers on shelving and desks.
Ooh, what about mattresses?
Yep, those too.
Dressers? Sofas?
Yes and yes.
I think I need a bigger cart.
Visit us at ikea-usa.com/offers for details. Offer dates may vary. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary by store and online. See store and ikea-usa.com/offers for complete terms. Restrictions apply.
It's go time, California. The year-end sell-a-thon is going on now. Inventory is here now and moving fast, so it's go time. Now get 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $1,000 retail bonus cash on a 2022 Ford F-150 and Explorer. Go to the year-end sell-a-thon at your California Ford dealer today. Now during the year-end sell-a-thon, get low leases on select 2022 and 2023 Ford vehicles. It's go time, only at your California Ford dealer. Hurry in now, it all ends January 3rd. Now get a 2022 Ford F-150 or 2022 Ford Explorer with 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $1,000 retail bonus cash. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 1.9% APR financing for 60 months at $1,748 per month per $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Bonus cash includes $1,000 retail bonus cash. Residency restrictions apply. For all offers, take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 1/3/2023. See dealer for qualifications and complete details.
What's up, San Francisco? If you're a fan of the team, which I'm sure you are, you've been following Christian McCaffrey light up the competition. This season, Christian will be hydrating himself with Body Armor sports drinks. It has potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. In fact, Body Armor has 820 milligrams of electrolytes per 16-ounce serving. Body Armor is the sports drink of choice for Christian McCaffrey. It's more than a sports drink. It's Body Armor sports drink. Available at your local Safeway.
This holiday season, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us with their annual Season of Hope. Between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, the foundation will deliver mortgage-free homes to dozens and dozens of America's catastrophically injured veterans, fallen first responder families, and Gold Star families. Bring hope to heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
What's the matter, Kate?
I think John is cheating on me.
Why?
He claims to suddenly have ED, but he used to be an animal.
Oh, maybe he has low testosterone. A normal part of aging. Ken had that problem, and at Balanced Medical Solutions, they ran labs and evaluated him for only $99, and he found a solution that revived him completely.
Guys, why suffer? Regain your vigor today. Call now, 510-679-3300, or visit balancedmedicalsolutions.com.
At Target, low prices and great deals mean more. More holiday joy with loved ones, and more to check off your list for less. Flour, sugar, eggs, butter, got 'em. Fresh candles, extra wine glasses, new tablecloth, check. And don't forget the trusty cleanup supplies to wrap up the celebration and all the leftovers too. Deals so good, you can holiday your way. Only at Target.
Help Ukrainian children. Shazam this song. Scroll down Shazam, open on YouTube, follow the link and donate.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Now, back to Overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
I appreciate people who watch us on YouTube and Twitch and who listen, whether you're listening terrestrially or on the Odyssey app or online. I appreciate everybody always. Even the person that's like, you suck. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody's going to like me. That's fine.
Thank you.
But shout out to everybody for listening, especially on Christmas Eve. Whether you're working or you're not celebrating or you're trying to get away from your family.
Right.
Or you're hanging out with your family listening or watching.
Yeah.
Which would be tight as well. Really appreciate it always, but definitely appreciate it in the holiday season. That really means a lot.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the heck out of it. So thanks, everybody. And thank you to you for being here. And thank you to Cam for being here as well.
You know, it's just one of those things. Christmas Eve is, a lot of people do dinner, right? A lot of people either do the Christmas Eve dinner or the Christmas dinner. So if you're listening to us and you still did the Christmas Eve dinner, or you're about to do it, or you haven't done it yet, or you do the Christmas dinner, thank you. And if we're the soundtrack to your meal,
fix that.
There you go. Enjoy the prime rib and some post-game talk. How about it?
That's what's going on today. The Niners needed that.
Mm-hmm.
Had they fallen to the Commanders like 20-13, I wouldn't have gotten on here and ripped them, because you can lose badly in the NFL and stuff. The Vikings, remember earlier this year, the Vikings lost at home to the Cowboys 40-3.
They got smacked.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
They won their division, and they're going to be a top 3 seed. So they're chilling.
People still don't believe in them.
Right. But the Niners going and winning the way they did today, moving the ball as efficiently as they did, you'd love to see them be better in the red zone. They're 1 for 5 there today. They're going to have to score touchdowns more often.
Right.
Against better teams.
You cannot rely on the boom plays. They're going to come, but also you get into the playoffs. Look, now here's the thing. Because assuming you get Debo back, it is going to be hard to take away. You take away one person, you can't, like we said, you can't take away everybody, but good defenses are going to find ways to not get beat like that. I would like to think. So you have to be, as we've said, I've been really nice to Kyle Shanahan, but I will say you got to be a little bit more inventive in the red zone. I would love to see, McCaffrey on one side, TDP on the right side. It just seemed it was a little vanilla today in the red zone.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm interested to see in the playoffs. Is like you talked about keeping the playbook sewn up against a team like the Raiders.
Exactly.
I'm wondering if that's where we'll see in the postseason. We'll see some of that red zone creativity that we haven't really seen. Today there was that sequence on the Niners' first drive where they get down inside the 15, and on 3rd and 1 they hurry up, line it up, because it was Ty Davis Price.
Right.
First running back off the bench today. They went to him earlier than we'd seen Jordan Mason typically come in. So it was Ty Davis Price, finally gets some burn. I thought he looked pretty good today.
I did too. I mean, to be honest, is really some of the first I've seen him in the preseason, but I haven't really seen him that much this season at all.
Well, even in week 2, Kyle Shanahan said this week. In week 2, when he got a bulk of the carries against the Seahawks, he had a high ankle sprain that he had like early in the game and played through it.
Yeah.
So this is the first time he's really been able to carry the ball when healthy, and you saw some of the flashes of why they took him in the 3rd round. I thought he looked good, but they give it to him on 1st and 2nd down. They get to 3rd and 1. They hustle up to the line, give it to him again up the middle. When Washington had stacked the middle, they were ready for that exact play. And the Niners ran it. They get nothing. They go to 4th and 1. And then they do this triple option to use check, where it is a toss to use check, and he was running with McCaffrey. And he tried to hurdle a guy, and mid-hurdle, he tried to pitch it, and it was way behind McCaffrey, who had to kind of reach out and grab it one-handed, and then got knocked out of bounds. Didn't get the first down. That's the kind of play that it's like, okay, the play call in and of itself wasn't great in that spot. The execution was poor. But it's the 3rd and 1 that bothered me.
Right.
Like, just lining up and running. Like, this is a good defense. You can't do that. Have the creativity on 3rd down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to say we want him to be more creative, and then he's not, but you still got to pick your spots.
Yes, that's it. Pick the spots. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
He didn't pick his spots there, and that's fine. Not everybody's going to be perfect.
No. And I think this, look, we stopped, or at least I stopped, after seeing just the parity this year with the NFL and all the upsets that we've seen, and you fade the public, you go one way, you go the other. You haven't really been able to just there haven't been that many locks, right? This season. At least it doesn't feel like it. So it's hard to complain when the Niners have just found ways throughout this stretch to just win. It might not have been pretty, might not have had makeup on it, whatever it is. They've just gotten W's where other teams have not gotten W's.
Yeah, and they've figured out a way to do this thing where they just kind of like quietly dominate games. Like that game against Seattle last week, it was 21-13, which doesn't seem like a dominant game, but Seattle never had the ball with a chance to tie it.
Right.
And even if they did get the ball back in the last 2 minutes, did you think they were going to go down and tie it? I didn't.
No.
And that's what they just kind of quietly, and today, 37-20, I mean, the way that game kind of went, it was like, oh yeah, they won by 17. And it just kind of...
Right.
Like,
but this one did actually show it, right?
Yeah,
on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it did. By the end it did.
Right, by the end it did. And a lot of the other games, they haven't. It's just a classic when you're watching TV, and it's a classic in any sport. Well, Bob, they're down 2, but it feels like they're down 20. That's what it is against the Niners. You might only be down, a touchdown, but because of that defense, it feels like a lot more. And that makes you have to make decisions that you typically wouldn't in certain spots.
Somebody asked in the YouTube chat, hasn't the red zone problem been a problem all season long? That's Kyle's kryptonite. I want to push back on that just a little bit. Today it definitely was, and there have been spots this season where it's been like, what is that play call in the red zone? Today was bad in the red zone. But going into today, they were ranked 14th in the league in red zone touchdown rate. And then last year they were first. They were the best team in the league at converting their red zone trips to touchdowns.
Right.
So I wouldn't call it a kryptonite. I think that there's almost this is the total theory, that there's a paralysis by overanalysis where it's like, dude, you have Christian McCaffrey. He is one of the most effective red zone players in the league. Use him on something other than a run up the middle. Please. You have Deebo Samuel, one of the most effective red zone players in the league. Use him as something other than a decoy.
Right.
In the red zone, please. And George Kittle, who granted 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns now, career high. Utilize him in the red zone. Juwan Jennings, great on third downs. Guess what? Could probably use him in the red zone. But there's all these weapons. I think there needs to be a level of creativity, but then there also just needs to be a level of just like, dog, let go and let God.
Right.
Like, Christian McCaffrey's going to win his matchup.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel's going to win his matchup. Brandon Ayuk's going to win. Somebody's going to win. Let him go play and let Brock Purdy make a decision.
I think that's what we saw a lot of, even specifically in the red zone, but also early on in Brock's struggles. And again, we're getting to the point now, as we've said, it's hard to figure out if Kyle Shanahan's playing it a bit coy, or if this is just what he's putting out in the streets right now in terms of an offense. But you do look up and it's, man, that it feels like, I think what it is, when you have the bevy of talent that the Niners have, it's not realistic. But when they have like a very quick 3 and out, it's just why? How does that happen? And I know Deebo's out, but with the players that you have, and I know you have your third string quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, but with the players you have, with Christian McCaffrey, with Brandon Ayuk, with George Kittle, and you look up and literally, Kyle, you go up to get a drink of water, and it's third and 7. How does it happen? And it happens because what we talked about. We know you got to keep the defense keep the defense honest, but do we have to look up and 2 runs up the middle, first and second down? Do you have to do that?
When it comes to the creativity, and we talked about the jet sweep stuff earlier, how were there not 4 plays in the playbook just for Danny Gray?
Right.
Danny Gray, you drafted him because he's fast as hell. Do you know what the Chiefs do with McCole Hardman? We watched him do it against the Niners. Is McCole Hardman the best route runner in the league? No. But guess what? They're going to set it up where he's going to get one-on-one with a cornerback that he can run past, or they're going to put him in motion and get him the ball and get blockers in front and let him get to the edge and let him outrun some people.
Backyard football.
Yeah. Danny Gray, can he block? Probably not a great blocker. Is he a great route runner? Maybe not right now. But, dude, there's things you can utilize him for. That's what I would like to see.
Again, this Niner team has some of the best decoys in the league in Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. You have to account for them, and they can. The best part, or I guess the most important part about using the word decoy, it's because they can do so much. They can catch the football. They can run the football. If it's a running back that just runs, like Derrick Henry, I would not really call a decoy. Because you might not give him the football, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a decoy. A.J. Brown, I wouldn't necessarily call him a decoy. These guys do more specific things, right, than the jack of all trades that we have with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. And Danny Gray, we don't know what he could be. All we do know is that we should at least be able to see one jet sweep and just let him run. Maybe the defense sniffs it out. Maybe they know it's coming because that guy hasn't played all season, and we know he probably can't do this, can't do that. That's why he can't get on the field. But let's at least see it. Keep him honest. Just add another decoy to the mix. I guess that's kind of what Ray McCloud has been.
I guess. If that's...
Yeah. And is it too late now that you're not just going to, is this a moot point? Because at this point, you're not going to throw in a Danny Gray with 2 games left in the season.
Why not? Maybe now's the time to do it.
Maybe that time has passed.
Yeah.
I always said Danny Gray and Trey Lance, package deal, one can't play without the other.
That's what I thought about Trey Lance and Trey Sermon, and then Trey Sermon got cut.
Right.
So, Nick Bosa, I mentioned this before the break. I thought he was the DPOY favorite going into today.
Mm-hmm.
And then today, 7 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. Also had a sack on the 2-point conversion that doesn't get counted as a sack.
Okay.
So it doesn't go down on his stat sheet, but he did have a sack there.
And he did do the shrug.
He did. He definitely did the shrug. And then he had a couple where he was hitting Carson Wentz late in the game, hitting him as he threw, where he got very, very close to a couple more. And his ability late in these games, especially when a team is down a couple scores. And this is a big part of the reason why it's so hard to score on the Niners, especially late in games when you have to throw it. Because when Nick Bosa decides your left tackle is not blocking him on that rep, it's curtains.
It's over.
And he does that late in games where he knows pinning the ears back and going.
Right.
And it was just consecutive plays. And he's just in the backfield constantly. And I think there's other parts of their defense, especially in the second level, that get overlooked. But when it comes down to crunch time, it's Bosa, man. And when you look at this defense and what he means for their defense, I have a hard time believing there is a more impactful defensive player in the league right now. He should be the DPOY.
I think he will be.
There's 2 games left.
Yeah.
Maybe something weird happens. But I would be shocked if he doesn't win.
Everybody, look, the media is already talking about it. He's been doing it at a high level. He's been doing it in certain spots. We know some of this is not just when you do, how you do it, but when you do it. He's done it in premier games. He's done it when, they've been the talk of the town and everybody's watching those games. I don't even know who's necessarily, I know that there are different options, but I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head. It's them or Bosa because of how good he's been. Obviously, there's names you can always throw in the hat and say, hey, because I don't watch every single game. You know what I mean? But from what I've seen from Nick Bosa, it's hard for me to believe there's somebody out there making that much of an impact. And another overused term, game wrecker. But that's what he is.
Yes.
That's what he is. And don't let, to your point, don't let them get a lead. If the Niners get a lead and we know you have to throw, it's over. The Commanders, their only shot was somehow punching the Niners in the mouth early and nursing a lead. That was their only chance.
And
today.
They tried. They had the right game plan, and we saw it early. Their first 2 drives was run, pass, run, pass, punt. That was their game plan. And they're not built. They're like the Niners. They're not built to play from behind.
No. And by the way, I don't know if a lot of teams are.
Yeah, it's all the teams with elite quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Like, hey, yeah, you get a couple defensive stops, you're going to score, and you're going to get back into the game. But that's the thing with the Niners. The Commanders are trying to play ball control, and they were going to run the ball and they were going to take advantage of the Niners being aggressive, getting downhill, and they were going to take some shots over the top. And they just weren't there. And that's one of the things with this Niners defense is like there's just not something where it's like that can be exploited. Like, man, that's going to be a problem.
Right.
Is Talanoa Hufanga going to overrun 3 plays a game? Yes. Is Tayshaun Gibson going to get beat to an angle a couple times a game? Yes. But for the most part, man, they're just... I'm running out of superlatives. Like, they're just a really, really good unit that plays on a string.
They're getting close, right? I think people have used the H word already, as in historic, but I don't think we can do that yet. But they are on the right trajectory. We'll say that. They're on the right trajectory based on what we've seen throughout this season.
Well, here's when we talk about historic defenses, win a Super Bowl, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, 2011. Is it 2011 and 2012 and 2019? All great defenses. Like, I'm not taking anything away. The 2011, 2012 teams are 2 of my favorite 49ers teams of all time. Peak of my fandom. I was 21 and 22 years old. Those were my dudes.
You're just a young buck Kyle.
Those were my dudes. But they didn't win it. 2019, great defense. Didn't win it. And this defense will go down as one of those defenses like, man, that 22 team is really good, but you know what? Fell short.
Well, you could say that, number one, a defense that should be seen as historic can essentially win you a Super Bowl, right? Number one.
Totally.
And number two, to use the word quite literally, historic, you won a Super Bowl, you go down in history. So
that's what I mean.
Those are kind of the prerequisites, I guess you could say, to if you want to put them in that conversation. Number one, you weren't necessarily the reason, but you were one of the main reasons that you won the Super Bowl, if that was needed, right? And number two, you go down in history because you won the Super Bowl. All these other teams and all these other defenses, they don't hang banners for Super Bowl runner-ups.
No,
they don't do that.
No, and that's where, like, if this team wants to firmly be, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm not on board with your season didn't matter if you didn't win the title. Because I think in the scope of that year, yes, but when you talk historically and you talk bigger picture, you can take things away from a year. Like, the Warriors going 73-9 still matters.
Right.
Like, that's incredible. Whether they won the title or not, that's unbelievable. So that's what I mean with this defense. There's always going to be arguments like 22 versus 19 versus 11 versus 12. And obviously there were great defenses in the 80s. Like, I don't want to disparage those teams either.
Yeah.
But when you talk about these modern defenses of the last 20 plus years, the way this team can for sure get above 19 or 11 or 12 is to get to that last final step. So I think they're on that track. And in this day and age, with as good as offenses are, the fact that the Niners have a defense where you're very confident they're going to get a stop in a big spot, that matters.
Right.
And that's why we can sit here and have this conversation about Brock Purdy, because if the 49ers had a top 20 defense, let's say their defense is ranked 19th, guess what? They're probably not 3-0 with Brock Purdy right now.
No. And that's not a slight on Brock.
That has nothing to do with That has nothing to do with Brock Purdy. Purdy is who he is right now. He's a rookie. You don't expect any rookie to make a Super Bowl run. That's never happened. And there's various reasons for that. But the reason it's even on the table and the reason their season's not over is because their defense is at that level where the quarterback just needs to come in and play like Brock Purdy has played. And I think he's even exceeded that a little bit. Exceeded the kind of the lowest bar for a quarterback for this team. He's certainly exceeded that.
We will see as we get deeper and deeper into this season. The only way you can, the only way at this point that we've seen, unless you have an elite quarterback, the only way you're going to be able to get over on this defense is if the Niners put you in a bad position, a la an interception, a la a fumble.
Yeah.
If you're starting, from the 25-yard line, good luck. Good luck. Now, with that being said, that goes back to the quarterback play. That goes back to the plays that are called. It's going to be quite the tango. It's going to be quite the dance in the playoffs for Kyle Shanahan because, look, you got to put points on the board, but you can only take so many chances because just like any other defense, no matter how historic the defense is, you can't put them in bad spots. Yeah. And that is going to be, I think, one of the biggest decisions for Kyle Shanahan in the playoffs. Your risk analysis, as you said earlier, and how much boom or bust and how high risk, high reward do we want to be? As much as we trust the defense, we can't put them in situations time and time again. Because we watched, before Charvarius Ward, I don't know if he was injured at this point or if he was just gassed. He was huffing and puffing. And I think it was after the interception when they were in the red zone. He was huffing and puffing. And you said, well, yeah, they've been on the field for about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a way to beat them, but it's also the Niners kind of beating themselves.
And there was also something with Charvarius Ward today. When he did leave the game, it was because he was nauseous.
See?
And so
yeah,
I think they went back and evaluated him for a concussion because that is one of the symptoms. And he had just cleared concussion protocol.
Got it.
And so that's why I think he was in the medical tent, and then they took him to the locker room. I think he probably wasn't feeling great, and maybe that's a little bit of the reason we saw that. But also, they had been on the field forever at that point. And to what you just said about the Niners defense being put in a bad spot, Eric Branch, San Francisco Chronicle, points this out. Washington's point total of 20 and their rushing output of 79 yards, the two highest totals against the 49ers since October 23rd.
See? I mean,
that's wild.
Right. But it's not
2 months.
It's not the Commanders starting from scratch on a lot of those. Some of it, sure, they played a little bit better offensively than we thought, but also
they had a legit touchdown drive in the third quarter, 4 plays, 75 yards. That was with the deep throw to Terry McLaurin. They scored a touchdown. Yep, that was a 75-yard drive. But that other one after the interception off Juwan Jennings' hands at the end of the first half, they got the ball at the 31.
Right.
They had to go 31 yards. And then the other one was the 11-play, 82-yard drive late in the game where the Niners were like, yeah, take everything underneath.
Right.
Take whatever you want underneath. You're just not going to get that quick strike. And they went down and scored a touchdown. Although Dre Greenlaw, robbed of interception. I'm going to continue saying that.
That was so weird.
They called it incomplete. I never saw an angle where the ball hit the ground.
Right.
And then it kind of popped up under.
It was the quickest challenge ever.
They didn't challenge it because Shanahan challenged to say it was incomplete, and I don't think you can review that it was an interception.
Weird.
And they ended up calling it incomplete.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Yeah. Real quick, overtime overachiever.
Nick Bosa, again. He was incredible.
Yeah. I'm not going to go I'm going to go Ty Davis-Price simply because, Jordan Mason, 4 carries last week. Right? And Christian McCaffrey had 26. Different game today. Brock threw the ball around, his highest yards since he's taken over as a starter. But Ty Davis-Price, 9 carries. Yeah, average 3.3 yards per carry. But to come in, we really haven't seen him. No fumbles, right? I'll take that from Ty Davis-Price. I'm gonna make them the overachiever. It's all relative, Kyle. It's all relative.
I love that. Special shout out to George Kittle as well. Dominant again. 6 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's Christmas Eve. We're getting out of here. Everybody who listened, everybody who watched, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday. If you're not celebrating, again, just have an awesome weekend. We really appreciate you. Alan, Cam, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it a ton. And Niners win. This is overtime. We'll be back next week. Couple weeks. In a couple weeks.
Yeah.
There'll be an overtime next week after the Niners face the Raiders on Sunday, so tap into that. For Cam Williams, Alan Stiles, I'm Kyle Madsen. This has been Overtime on 95.7 The Game. See ya!